Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet an international thought leader on conscious capitalism. The great Curtis Hite is in the studio. His incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm a proud member of Success North Dallas. They've been meeting monthly for some 35 years. And last month they had an amazing keynote speaker, Curtis Hite. He is the CEO of Improving, and he blew us all away. I didn't have a chance to get him on my show that day, but we rescheduled, and he's in the studio right now. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Glad to be here, Jeff.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about Improving, because you're on the best places to work list, the Inc. 5000, many years in a row, some 2,000 employees across the globe. How did this all begin for you?
Well, it began actually early in my career. I went into an intelligence firm, was with them, E-Systems here locally, later became Raytheon. And when I joined it, I became employee 139662. And that's a part of the story, because at a very large company, sometimes the number becomes more important than the name. And I felt that a little bit. And one of the things I wanted to change when I became an entrepreneur is that feeling. So started years ago, did my first company, which was a company called Expeed, sold it to a French organization called Valtech. And then the story began there. After the dot-com bust and growing it back in 2006, started a new venture, Improving, which is where we are today.
Okay, we're going to pull up the website. And as we scroll down the website, I want you to talk about the kinds of clients you help and the services you offer.
All right, that would be great. So we're a modern digital services company. But what does that really mean? I'll tell you first right now and today is going to be services in artificial intelligence, modern data, modern applications. And we do everything from building the applications for our clients to teaching clients how to build applications, or even consulting on their own. And as you see here at the website, we're also a company of culture, and really emphasize that at Improving. It's one of the tenets of conscious capitalism that you heard us speak about a few weeks ago, and it's very important to us.
Well, let's spend some time talking about conscious capitalism, because I think when everybody's heard that expression, what does that mean to you?
Okay, conscious capitalism is both a philosophy, it's a movement, and it's an organization. So it's those three things. And I'll talk about mainly the philosophy today. It's built upon 4 pillars. The first is a purpose beyond profit. The second is a stakeholder model instead of a shareholder model. The third is conscious culture, which I just talked about. And last is conscious leadership. It's these 3 pillars which become the philosophy that we ask companies to build upon themselves under the single core belief that business is one of the greatest forces of good in the world.
And I've seen study after study that say people don't quit companies, they quit bad bosses. And so I can speak for myself. I don't think I've ever read a leadership book. I haven't, and I own a company. I've hired some people to run the company. I get to own the company. But does that speak volumes? I think most leaders have never had any training.
Yeah, well, I have had training, and I'm thankful for that. Some of the greatest leadership training I had is right here in town, Rand Stagen.
Yeah.
That's correct. But I do subscribe to what you say. I have a different version of it, is that people don't work for companies, they work for people, and they work for leaders. And so when you have an organization, it's very important that the executives at the company understand their role. And in improving, as part of our conscious culture, not only do we have values that we espouse to, which is the expectations of employees, but we have a commitment to the employees, which is the expectations that the employees can have of the company. And those are mostly around creating a great place to work around. And we have 5 really commitments we give our employees around that.
Okay, so many people think that workplace culture is putting in a pool table in the break room or painting a slogan on the wall. It's not that, is it?
No, it's not that at all. And our biggest espoused value is building trust. In fact, when you land on our website, again, you saw that trust changes everything. It's very important in a services organization. And the culture around that is, one, is that we really subscribe to Stephen Covey's speed of trust. We teach that throughout the organization, but we don't stop at the teaching. Every week we have groups where more than 1,100 of our 2,000 employees are choosing to talk about the 4 cores of trust, the 13 trust behaviors that exist that actually help us build our teams. One of the most rewarding feedbacks around keeping that culture very present and active is that when we talk about this at work, it bleeds into the lives at home. And there are things like listen first, or demonstrate respect, right your wrongs. These are all trust behaviors. And imagine taking these with your spouse or your kids or other family members. It really does not only impact your life at the company, but in your home life and friend life as well.
Absolutely. He's an amazing speaker, as I mentioned. We're going to show some video, and I think this is you speaking on Rand Stagen's stage. What do you remember about this speech?
So this is about conscious capitalism and how it differentiates itself from classic capitalism and stakeholder capitalism. And it's something I'm very passionate about. I truly believe businesses are one of the greatest forces of good in the world, and that they will find the way. And when you look at all the statistics out there, the emergence of capitalism back in the late 1700s, and the beacon of, let's say, freedom in the Declaration of Independence, you have free market capitalism coming together. And the world has flip-flopped since then. Extreme poverty has gone from more than 90% to under 10%. Literacy has gone from around 12% to over 85% or 88%. Life expectancies have gone from 28 years to over 70. This is what capitalism does for the world. That's what I was talking about there. But we have to do it in the right way. And one that I'm a big subscriber of freedom. And some of the things that we've seen recently in capitalism is more about coercion. They're going to require companies to do things. But in conscious capitalism, we take this the next step. We're not going to require anybody to do anything, but we are going to inspire companies to do things. And we will become and are becoming the companies of the future when you look at the performance of conscious businesses.
Well, you've been doing this for a long time and you've helped countless businesses. What's one of your favorite success stories?
I'll bring this back to trust. We're a technology company, and we build software for other companies. Yet I can't tell you how often we are brought into organizations at the executive level to help their companies build trust within their own organizations. And with a simple kickoff workshop, about 4-6 hours, with a team that's very open, very vulnerable, it's amazing to see the progress that we make. Because high performance teams, the very foundation of those are built on trust. And so I think that's where almost all of our major success stories lie.
And trust can be quickly broken. How do you repair trust?
So that's great. I'll go back to the 13 behaviors. The first thing is practice accountability on both sides, because when trust is broken, often there are roles that both sides play. Then you have to confront realities about that. You have to right your wrongs. And then you have to start the long journey of leaning into these trust behaviors, because trust can be broken really quickly.
Yes.
Okay. And it's going to take a long journey to do so, but owning it helps you actually start that path.
Outstanding. I know one of the things that you like to talk about is having a purpose, and especially the Gen Zs, they want to know what you stand for. Otherwise, they're on the first bus to the next job. We've got some video from our library of just volunteering because I think so many companies will reach out to their employees and say, hey, we want to support some kind of nonprofit this year, and let the employees actually have a voice in who they're supporting. Talk about the importance of giving back.
Okay. So I'm going to lean on the pillar of a stakeholder model instead of a shareholder model for this question. The stakeholders in a company go far beyond your customers or your employees or really maybe the shareholders. It goes into your suppliers, your communities you're in our case, the industry. But one of our favorite events is of the year is something that we call our Generous Advocate in December. And we have each of our 18 offices actually do a 3-minute pitch on a charity, and the entire company comes together and then votes on which charities that not the company has decided to give to, but that each of the offices are going to. And anybody that puts together a pitch, they get their charity gets a certain amount of money, and then the winners actually across the company get more and more, and there's a grand prize, and so we're given to who the employees want to give to, not to who the company wants to.
And that's so important because sometimes you'll get a boss who's fired up about homelessness, but that doesn't really resonate with their team. And so, okay, guys, we're all going to go to the homeless shelter and feed the homeless, and they may not be on board.
That's right. And it's going to vary. We're an international company, offices in India and Argentina, Chile, Mexico, US and Canada. And even within the US, 8 different offices, they all have different kind of personalities and slightly different version of the same values, but they're different. So the organizations that they like giving to often tie to the employees that are there, their children or something like that. It becomes such a good event. We get to give to a lot of these groups, and it feels good as an organization to know that this business is being a force of good out there.
Yeah, and I think about, how much work goes into attracting the right people and training them, and often a employee will just get to know their job, and then the next thing you know, they're gone. So talk about the importance of companies attracting the best and brightest and keeping them.
Okay, people in a services company are the lifeblood of it, so we have to attract great people. The first key is being open in the values very upfront, in our case, dedication, involvement, excellence, and then building trust are our core values. Setting those expectations, rallying behind those, and then living into those expectations. When employees leave an organization like ours, you lose intellectual property, but you also lose cultural aspects. And a company that's built on that, it makes it extra hard. The other thing I will say, and it's maybe not that popular, is we can see the offices that tend to have the most employee engagement coming into the office on a regular basis, not necessarily every day or something, but they tend to have the best results in our workplace culture results, which results in better engagement, which even means better employee satisfaction. So we're still trying to navigate some of that in today's environment.
Let's spend a couple of minutes talking about AI, because a lot of companies, want to adopt it, but maybe they're onboarding it the wrong way. The employees aren't up to speed, and they're failing in executing AI.
Yeah, so artificial intelligence, one, there's a lot of hype around it, which is going to get a lot of people changing their business models, changing their advertising. The hype is not always real. In this case, the hype is real. So you'll see a lot of investments, but it's fairly immature, so you'll see some failures, but it's not going to stop where the momentum is going. And every company needs to be finding its path in either utilizing AI for productivity, building systems that help them understand their data or predict results better. And today, nearly 80% of Improving's business has some tie to artificial intelligence right now, and that's a very, very quick turn, whether it's the modern data that the intelligence is acting on or other aspects of it. But from a place of encouragement, it doesn't take a lot of dollars to get an initial return out of AI today. So there are a lot of companies that can introduce and get started for relatively a low price, and that's going to be a good thing.
All right, Curtis, we got about a minute left. So final thoughts. What do you want to leave people with?
I'm going to go back to, I believe that business is a force of good in this world, and that companies actually employ leaders that must establish this and must really be the front of the businesses themselves. And I would love for some of the rhetoric in the world to shift from some of the shadows of business to really help us get better versus really trying to demonize businesses.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to end with your website, which is improving.com. The great Curtis Hite. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Joe.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.